I enjoyed like the first hour of the show. I thought the 8-man tag I just mentioned with the Don Callis family was awesome. Darby and Claudio Castagnoli might have been one of my favorite matches of the year. I just had a big smile on my face watching that the entire time.
That was so good.
But what the fuck happened to this show in the second hour? This show fell off the biggest fucking cliff in the second hour.
It was Mercedes.
We had Private
and the learning tree.
No. I can name 8 different things that I hated more than those 2 things. But it started off with Private Party having a backstage segment with the fucking Big Boom guys. And I don't have a problem with the Big Boom guys like some people have out there. But it was just a sign that, oh, this show is about to jump off the cliff. Oh, my God. What was that segment with Daniel Garcia and Jack Perry? That was fucking horrible mid-2000s TNA if I ever seen it. Oh, my God. I felt like I was watching a fucking Puerto Rican Tariq St. Patrick interrogate Hollywood Don Carter.
Yo.
After Braden
What's wrong with you?
into his car. Oh my God. What the fuck was that? And then followed up that segment with Chris Jericho walking around the building being followed by Tomohiro Ishii for 10 fucking minutes.
Yeah, that was that part. I told you. And
then you can't get much worse. We have this fucking main event that was performed in front of deathly silence, and it featured the #1 contender for the AEW World Championship, supposedly the top babyface in this company, supposed to be one of the faces, the pillars of the company moving forward, and he takes 20% to Wheeler Yuta. Wheeler Yuta dominates 80% of a matchup against your #1 contender for the AEW World Championship 3 days before the goddamn pay-per-view. Because you want anyone to believe this motherfucker can beat Jon Moxley. What the fuck was that? And one was a flat. Beat up with his fucking finisher. Do you want anybody to believe in this fucking Death Riders shit anymore? Have you fucking given up on that? What the fuck, AEW? What the fuck? Top guy JJ.
I have nothing to add to that.
I'm about to say.
The only thing I was just gonna is that I absolutely just hate the image of the ROH Championship on Chris Jericho. I just hate that image entirely. But other than that, you literally just said everything. I have nothing else to add to that. Like you just mentioned the Jack Perry segment looked like one of them horrible like PlayStation 2 games. And you just see one of those stupid boards that you will never play again. I didn't even know what to say about this. I genuinely didn't know what to say. I was just like, this. I don't know what level of bad this is. I was like, I don't know what level of bad this is. Like, did this? If this was your cup of tea, that is good for you and the other 2% of people. But this was shit. Like, and that main, like, the main event. Yeah, I ain't got no words for it either, bro. Like, I ain't got nothing. For you.
He ain't got nothing. Yeah, he's been saying a lot. He's saying a whole lot.
I'm talking about the main event. I ain't got nothing for you. See,
this is what I don't want y'all to do. Don't revisionist history. Yeah, we have Steven Chambers who said, "Oh, just seems like AEW go home shows not good at all." AEW go home shows have been the best thing about them this year. It wasn't until Wrestle Dreams go home show and this go home show they have totally went into post WrestleMania. Let's take our foot off the gas. They did that after All In, and then they've completely gone into cruise control since they got the TV deal. That's the issue. It's just recently that it's gotten this bad.
Yeah.
I still need a breather.
That was good.
Still need a breather.
It was really good. That was better than mine.
That was real good.
I'm just solely baffled. So
just don't ever say that this man does not deliver the same energy when he hates something on another wrestling company, you just need to watch this episode of True Hill Heat. Straight up.
He keeps the same energy all the time. Just saying.
Almost broke my mic apparently.
Same energy with any company, if it's shit or if it's good.
If it pisses me off this much, yeah, that's where it's got to be. But coming off of a polarizing, I think the best way to describe it, episode of AEW Dynamite, with the fact that the TV ratings are down currently, as well as the live attendance is not doing well at all, especially when you consider the past two episodes of AEW Dynamite in Bridgeport, Connecticut, as well as this past Wednesday with Reading, Pennsylvania. They have been two of the worst TV crowds for a professional wrestling show I think I've seen this year for sure. Is this like the new kind of creative low point for AEW heading into Full Gear? Are we at like a creative low point? Because it just feels like there's no light at the end of the tunnel. I know there's some people that will say, oh, the light at the end of the tunnel right now is the Continental Classic. I'm at that point where I'm just like, how do y'all expect me to have high expectations for that? I had high expectations for the Death Riders thing, and to do this whole angle where it doesn't feel like they're taking over the company, one, and then two, it's being performed in front of these dead fucking crowds where it doesn't look like the angle is over. Like, it just feels like this is a very unique low point for AEW. Because before, when there's low points, especially in this year, we had, oh, but there's going to be All In. Oh, but there's going to be the TV deal. Oh, but there's going to be this. There's going to be that. I feel like we're in a very unhealthy cycle of being down on AEW. Then they have a great pay-per-view, and we think, oh, they're going to turn the tide, and then we're right back to this shit. That's why it feels like now more than ever feels like the creative low for AEW more than before. I know you got the AEW shirt on, so I'll start with you, Josh. What do you think about what's going on right now creatively with
damn
AEW?
calling me out? Like, god damn.
That was a great pass, SP. That was a great pass.
What do you think
damn.
AEW needs to do to turn the tide to close 2024 strong?
So they have World's End coming up. It's very easy for me to say, oh yeah, have a great build up to World's End, right? That's very easy to say, because when you do have great build ups, people still don't watch. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like you could say that, but then it's like, is that helping the viewership? You know what I mean? That's the only thing I could really ask for at this point. Creative wise in general, it's one of those things where they got rid of, supposedly, don't want to say the head person of creative, but they said, hey, this might be the solution, and there hasn't been a solution. And it just seems like they're going through a phase where they're trying to see what sticks and what doesn't stick. And I don't think it's a good thing to do that when it's on television, because that sticks out, and then you're giving reason for people to shit on it and having commentators shit on it completely, right, without looking at the positives. Because even with this past week's episode, right, I think the first hour was good. I think there was a lot of good things that they did, and then it just fell off a cliff, like you said, like the whole Daniel Garcia stuff. I didn't understand that. And for me, the problem with that is, like, if you're gonna do something like that, why didn't you do it like a week before, or maybe a while ago? Or because this doesn't give me no indication that Daniel Garcia is winning on tonight. I think that's the problem. Yeah, and that's a problem to me, because I'm just like, why did this segment happen? But not only that, there was really no payoff in the segment, because he had him tied up, and then he was gonna do these terrible things, and then he just walked away. So I was like, what was the point of that? Right? I was like, you're gonna do a segment, make it make sense, and that's just, there was no payoff. He just walked away and left Jack tied up, and I guess Jack was left there. Who knows? He's still there right now, because he was just left there, right? So it's one of those things where creatively, I think they just need to do something, man. They really, I don't know what it is. They need to really brainstorm or even get somebody outside to be an advisor, a consultant. I think that would be a good thing, right? Get somebody to hire and then have an advisor. That could help out big time, right? Because it's one of those things where it's like they obviously, I don't want to say they have bad ideas, but there's ideas that are there that could be good. It's just not being executed very well, right? Because I think the whole Death Rider stuff, I think it could be better, but the problem is that you're giving me this aspect that they're taking over the company, and that's not what's happening. So I'm just like, what's the direction of this, right? The whole thing
It
will
makes
both
all the hokey stuff like Excalibur at the end
stick
of the show
out.
saying, they're going to be fighting for control of AEW. I was like, the Elite were more all over the show when they did that that first month of their thing than BCC.
You know, and it's just like for me, it's just more of like they need to be full anarchy, take the fuck over and do a bunch of shit. Just don't do a little bit. And then to this fucking comment, you must be out of your fucking mind if you think that's gonna happen. Like, I think you need to get like medicated or something, or like see a psychiatrist, because you're out of your fucking mind if you think that's happening. But yeah, I think for the rest of the year, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, again, I could say, hey guys, have a strong build up, do something good, and leave on a good note. But then it's like, if people are not watching, then people are going to fall into the same trap of like, oh, they're not doing this well, they're not doing that. Because this year there was a period of time where they were doing good storylines, they were doing good stuff. But then because of the perception,
I really feel like I'm watching a Vince McMahon product, because it feels like the last time we had consistent week to week storytelling and programming was before All In, and since All In,
and then it does feel like it's on cruise control since then, and that bothers me, because it's like, I know you guys could do better, so figure this shit out. Because even again, going back to Wednesday's episode, they did some good things. To me, it's one of those things where it's like, you watch that episode, it's like, you see what you guys did the first hour, that was good.
Mm-hmm.
Figure out how to keep
the
find
same
a way
energy.
to keep that consistent. Because even with that, right, even outside the Garcia stuff, the whole thing with Jericho, I thought that was just fucking lame. At first it's like you get a few laughs, but then it started dragging out.
Stupid now. It's like
too long.
It went a little too long, and it's just
you can't have that segment air right after you had a kidnapping.
Yeah, and then
I'm just sorry. I am sorry. Like,
spread
some of that shit out. Spread some of that shit. We went like 30 minutes with no wrestling.
Yeah,
on the alternative show.
And the side note, and I will say on the side note, because it wasn't talked about, right? I know a lot of people are trying to say, oh, the Costco guys are bad for business. They're trying to make it this whole giant thing. I think you guys need to like relax and shut the fuck up when it comes to that, because it's like, it's not that fucking bad. Yes, what they did was corny. That's just what they are on TikTok. They're cringe. They're corny. They're just doing their shtick, right? That's what they do, right? However, when you look at social media, their numbers have gone up. And so AEW, their clip with their segment, right? Their segment that they did on Dynamite has over 10 million views. So, I mean, regardless of people want to say, oh, this is the worst thing, because I've seen videos of that. People are saying like, they're trying to drag it down completely, right? Saying like, oh, that this is the worst thing in wrestling, whatever the case may be. I'm like, guys, we had Snooki at WrestleMania, had a match at WrestleMania.
You know what? I mean,
let's just relax.
Why are you bringing that up? Like,
I'm just saying, no. But also, that was on the WrestleMania on the main fucking card, by the way. This is on 0 hour. So this is a perfect thing that they're doing, because they're social media stars, and 0 hours is on social, they're on fucking YouTube. It makes the most sense for them to be on 0 hour, right? Now, if it was on the main card, yeah, I think there's a gripe. You could criticize that, but they're doing numbers, and as long as you're doing numbers, that's all that really matters. And they've been doing, the fellas have been handling themselves very well. AJ, I know AJ personally because I've met him a few times. Even before he blew up, I met him a few times, and he's a really nice guy. I met him and his son a long time ago. because they were from like Long Island or something. So I met them a few times. Really nice guy. So the fact that he blew up, I think that for me personally, it's kind of cool to see that he blew up. And he's having a big matchup because he's a lot of people don't know he's been a wrestler. He's been on the independent scene. So for him to get like a big moment like this, me personally, it's a cool thing. I just don't think it's a big deal that people are making it out to be. They're trying to make it like this worst thing. We had Darren Arquette as a world champion.
We have had, right.
Like we've had worse guys, and it's like if it's helping them social media wise, this is what they're doing. By all means, but when it comes to the rest of creative, what I was talking about, they just need to find some consistency. I don't want to say everything is all bad. I think they have good ideas. They just need to execute it better. But then also don't give up so fucking soon. And I think that's always been the problem with AEW, where there's sometimes it feels like there's something going on and they kind of just go away from it and kind of just give up. I don't like shit like that. That's very Vince McMahon, like where something like, hey, we're starting something and then, oh, we're getting away from it. And they were like, what the fuck happened? Why are we getting away from it? Right. And then also I would say the whole Mercedes stuff. I don't know what the fuck is going on with that. Like, oof.
I said this,
and I love Mercedes, but oh my god!
On the full gear preview that the trajectory of Mercedes Moné and AEW at the same time as the AEW women's division overall and the company's creative overall, they've all been trending in the same direction.
AEW needs stars.
Going
they have enough
down.
My guy, they have enough stars. They have enough stars.
Don't. They really don't. I agree. I agree with DCA comments. They don't have a lot of stars. They have
no. I said they have enough stars. No, they have enough stars.
No, they don't. If the number one company has like 10 different guys who can be considered stars or draws for them, then having 3 to 4 guys is not enough. You're number 2. You need more. You need more to compete with number 1. You can't have less than half of what number 1 has and say that that's enough. That's not enough. They don't have enough stars because they're not properly pushing them or presenting them in the right way. Top guy JJ.
I mean, we said it before. I mean, like me personally, I think they have enough. They have enough stars. It's just a matter of what they do with them. Because
how many stars is enough to you? How many stars is enough to you? How many stars is enough to you?
I don't know.
Okay, how many stars does AEW have that you're saying is enough?
Right now?
Yeah.
I know they got Osprey, they got Swerve.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, the main one I've been saying is Omega, and he's just not there.
Yes.
Then after that, yeah, Moxley, you could say maybe. Yeah. But even him, he's in the main storyline.
They have 5 guys and 1 guy is out. They have Osprey, they have Swerve, they have Moxley, they got MJF, and they got Omega. Omega's out, so they only have 4. WWE.
Oh, yeah, and then Okada's not being used. And then Okada's
not being used like a star, so he can't be considered that.
Yeah.
But
on paper, but that's what I'm saying.
Cassidy is in the pay-per-view main event, and he's not treated like a goddamn.
No, but like that's what I'm saying. I'm like they have the capability of having that because Okada on paper is a star. He just hasn't been used like that. That's what I'm saying. Like they have. There's something there. They just gotta find a way to fucking execute it. That's what I meant more. Like they have enough. I think they have enough. Yeah, I'm saying like they have enough. On paper they have enough people. It's just they need to find a way to fucking execute it, right? And when it comes to wrestling in general, right, it's all about building up stars. It's about what you have and see what they go with, right? Because you could find something lightning in a bottle. It's not possible. They just gotta find it. They just gotta find a way to produce that.
Deion Jenkins trying to name the stars in AEW. Omega, MJF, Danielson, all off of TV right now. Moxley, Swerve, I'll give you that. Hangman, yes, he can be, but he's not presented as one. Copeland is out for another year. Christian can be one, but he's not presented as one. Will Ospreay, yes. Samoa Joe can be one, but he's off TV right now. So you gave me about like 9 names, and literally more than half of them are not even on TV right now. JJ, why does it feel like such a creative lull right now for AEW to you?
First, I'm gonna say, Josh, you did a tremendous job at telling the AEW people to calm down. I think that every place has a point like this. What I have to think, and this is an issue that not has been talked about like a lot, but this is something that has kind of bothered me with not, and I don't want to say bothered me, but it has something I've thought about with AEW for years. It feels like they're never cooking anything. It doesn't feel like
ordering
anything is
takeout.
it feels too much like takeout. Like it feels, what can we do right now? What is being built towards AEW Revolution? What is being built towards Double or Nothing? Like what is cooking, right? Like what is in the oven that we can foresee happening in 2 months, in 3 months, in 4 months? What can
don't
you
even think-
definitively say can happen at the next pay-per-view?
I honestly feel like that's actually been like a detriment because you can see what they're
that's what I'm
cooking
saying.
with. You can see what they're cooking with the Death Riders, and all that's really done is Darby Allin gets a bigger reaction than Orange Cassidy because we all know this is more about Darby Allin than it is about Orange Cassidy.
So yeah,
That
so
part,
that's
yeah.
it doesn't feel like any, and they have, it's like, yeah, I think with people, they have enough people, but they don't have enough like star push because they're shuffling every 2 months. Like they shuffle too much. Like there's no person right now that they just put the company on and say, this is our guy. They don't have one. Who can you definitively name that this is our superstar?
Superstar is Will Ospreay.
No. I mean, talent-wise, yes, we know. I so say they have the talent, they have the people. But like, if I'm turning on my TV, who is the? I can't wait to see this person to see what story they're carrying.
It's Will Ospreay. It's Will Ospreay.
Where is Will Ospreay right? Like as far as
he's in a mid card feud. He's in a mid card feud with Kyle
Falcon. It's like there's nothing major being cooked for their big names.
Instead of like presenting Will Ospreay in a main event program, Ospreay is trying to get over one of his friends that are underneath him. That's what they're doing.
That's bad for them because that is one of their best talents.
Who's gonna probably lose?
Like they got MJF fighting Roderick Strong. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, are you fucking kidding me right now? Like, that is horrible. I don't care what anyone says. This is a waste of MJF's time. Like, it's not feeling like, okay, like, I'm going to get through this to get here. And it's just, it doesn't feel like I'm looking forward to what's to come next. It's like, it's happening now, and this is what's happening in a couple weeks. And you either like it or you don't. Like,
I can understand criticism on AEW. I'm not understanding yours completely because I do think that they have done the steps to kind of tell you what they're cooking, tell you what's coming up next. I think that their issue is more or less that they have stars, but they're not presenting them well. Their storytelling and their week-to-week product is not consistent enough. It's never like we go 3-4 weeks of this was very good. This was very good. This was a great episode of AEW. It's literally since All In, it's been this week was good. This week sucked. This week was good. This week sucked. Then last 2 weeks, we actually had 2 back-to-back good weeks, even though last week's crowd sucked completely, but it was still a good show. And then we went right back to sucking again. And it's just like, it's just no consistency. The storytelling is not streamlined enough. They're performing in front of half-empty arenas, and the fans that are there, they just get all the energy sapped out of them by seeing all the empty seats. And it's just translating. Like the effect of doing a show in a dark arena in front of a 10,000 seat building that only filled 1,500 seats. That is a bigger issue than a lot of people will let on. And that is, I think they're making the steps to actually do something about that, because that is the other news note that we got here, that AEW announced its full winter schedule, its full winter lineup of live events, and they have been making changes to run kind of smaller buildings. They announced their dates from December of 2024 through March 2025. This includes IEW's upcoming debut at the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York City on December 21st for a live edition of AEW Collision, as well as on December 22nd for a taped edition of AEW Dynamite. This follows a ROH Final Battle being at Hammerstein Ballroom. The Collision will be called Christmas Collision, while the AEW Dynamite taping will be Dynamite on 34th Street. Fightful Select had an update on AEW and ROH TV tapings planned for the Hammerstein Ballroom. According to the report, AEW and ROH will hold 3 shows at the venue next month. Also, the holiday-themed trademarks registered by AEW this week of Dynamite on 34th Street and Christmas Collision were filed in relation for those shows. Next year's AEW Revolution 2025 event will take place from Crypto.com Arena in Los Angeles as well. Upcoming events also include the Fight for the Fallen in Asheville, North Carolina on January 1st.
That's
as well.
arena.
This will mark AEW's simulcast debut on Max. Fight for the Fallen will benefit victims of Hurricane Helene. And this new slate of events announced are notable for AEW running more smaller buildings like Hammerstein Ballroom. Brian Alvarez reported on Friday's Figure 4 Weekly reports that there are moves being made in AEW to start to run some smaller buildings. This caused an issue as their lighting rig was too large and too heavy for those smaller buildings. The company is currently retooling it in order to make it fit. It was noted that there will be a lot of changes in 2025 for production and more. So my question to you, I'll start with Krssi Luv. Will AEW running smaller buildings solve a lot of the issues for the current product?
I think it would. I think it will help a lot tremendously. Because again, the bigger arenas are not helping you at all. There's very much silence on TV. There's not even people look not entertained. It's suffering tremendously. So I think take the book out of Impact, TNA, all that stuff. Do the smaller venues will get you where you need to go. That sucks for some of the stars, but
I think the stars rather perform in front of a smaller building that has rowdy fans that are excited to be there than being in front of these buildings, especially the last 2 weeks of Dynamite. It's been depressing watching Dynamite.
I feel bad, and I feel bad for big stars like Will Ospreay and things like that people have left their homes and to be here to catch all these people that's left overseas to be in the US and to get bullshit.
What do you think, JJ?
It could solve an immediate issue. I just think that there needs to be something more interesting on screen for people to buy tickets and go to their shows. And maybe I'm not explaining it right, but there's definitely an element of wrestler placement and talent placement of what they're doing that's making no sense. There's something missing there, that the matching that they're doing with talents is not resonating or getting through to enough people to say, I want to go to this show. There's something that's not connecting. And I looked at this Full Gear card. I'm not impressed. I'm just not. I'm sorry. And this is a pay-per-view. This is something people are going to pay $50 for today. $50 for this. And this card is not a $50 card. I don't give a shit what anyone says. This is not $50. And there is something that they can do, and I don't feel discouraged because they have this mud period of like a month or two here. They're gonna be better. They're gonna have better pairings. They're gonna have better rivalries. They're gonna have better stories. They're going to be better. But it is okay to not be okay with what they're presenting at the current moment.
Yeah.
And I am okay with saying they are delivering half-ass fucking grudges. And I'm okay with saying that because I know it will get better, but it is okay to say they're not delivering. It's okay to say it. Like it ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, fucking call, like, we shitted on the other place for years for delivering shit. For years. That is almost what True Heel Heat was built on, was shitting on the WWE for years. Like, we spent years getting on how poor they were booked, the fucking placement of their fucking talents, and thank God it's gotten better because we had to deal with the 2017, 2018, 2019 bookings. We had to deal with that shit for years. So when AEW has a tough few months, fucking be okay saying that they're not doing the best. Like, just be okay with saying that and know they're gonna get better. And I'm okay with saying that their shit right now is fucking half-assed.
And I said it a couple of weeks ago going into Wrestle Dream. I was like, this has now become 3 years in a row where this time of year AEW just falls off. It just falls off a bit. And in 2022, you had Brawl Out. That was the reason why it fell off. You had 2023, you had Brawl In and CM Punk leaving the company. That's the reason why that fall off. And the Adam Cole injury. There's no real big indicators this year. That's why it stands out more this year, this fall off that they had in the fall. Because there's no big backstage thing that happened that can be like, oh, that's the reason why you guys fall off here. Every other year that this has happened, we've had that reason, and we didn't have that reason this year. That's what makes it even worse this year. And I agree. We should be able to talk about it and discuss it and say the things that they need to improve. This is a step in the right direction with running smaller shows. I think that people watching the show and seeing kind of rabid fans in a 2,000 seat building. And I saw somebody say, having fans in the front row yawning during your show. That was in front of two of the most boring ass crowds the last 2 weeks on Dynamite. You're not going to get no fans yawning in the first row at Hammerstein Bar. I'm pretty sure of that.
No.
So let's not use Bridgeport, Connecticut and Reading, Pennsylvania as an example of what's going to happen when they run smaller buildings.
And then it's
or
like,
saying that, if that happens, it's not the same. No. You're using something for a bad fucking crowd that was in front of that had a bad show that they were watching. No, that's not the example that we're going to use for when they run smaller buildings.
And it's also sometimes just do a better job, like town scouting. Yeah. Do a better job town scouting. Sometimes these towns don't deserve these fucking products.
Yeah, I'm about to say the same. Don't go to those locations. Don't go to those venues. Like, don't go to Salt Lake fucking City. You don't go to Utah and be in that place where you knew that you was gonna have a small venue. They wasn't gonna come to your show, but they went to the other show last night.
Yeah, but if you go to say Salt Lake City, Utah, that is a pro WWE town.
Exactly.
Pro WWE town.
You go to Bridgeport, Connecticut. That's their home base.
WWE. You're not going to get the rah-rah that you're going to get in WWE. That it's home field advantage, basically. And sometimes places just love wrestling. Philadelphia loves wrestling. New York City loves wrestling. There's places that will just go crazy no matter what the fuck product is in there. They're just going to love wrestling. But if they're like, we're hosting next week from fucking Green Bay, Wisconsin. Like, what? they only like the fucking Packers.
Yeah.
They're not gonna like wrestling, so the crowd is gonna be dull to it. They're gonna only sell 3,000 out of 8,000 tickets because the entire fucking population cares about one sport. So think about where you're going to. Think about that as well, and see if wrestling success has a history of fucking crowd participation. That shit matters because you watching the shit on fucking Wednesdays and whatever other day you're watching wrestling, because that shit can ruin an entire wrestling show. Is the fucking lack of a crowd participation, because these cats could be busting their ass in the ring, putting on a fucking banger, and these people don't care because they don't like the people in the ring because they're not familiar with any of them.
Yeah.
Like that shit matters, and it's just like they're gonna be fine, but I think just there's just a fucking bundle of things that they just got to do a little bit better and just do a little bit more studying with where they're going, and just you know, if you gotta predominantly go to wrestling towns, go to wrestling towns. Stop exploring these other fucking places that don't fucking deserve your product.